A few months ago, we made a show with an FYM60HD and a DYM60HD, and we got talking about Adirondack and all of this stuff that people talk about headroom, volume, stiffness, hardness of this wood, this spruce. And is it true? And we discussed a few things in that series, which we'll put a link here, and that maybe it should be questioned. And then we decided to take a deeper dive, measure some frequencies, and try answer the question, does Adirondack have more headroom than Sitka? While we're here, we'd just like to say 85% of the people that watch our videos are not subscribed, which is a huge percentage. Subscribing to the channel really helps us, helps the channel grow, helps the feedback. It helps us make experiments to try and unravel all of these things of the acoustic guitar, like we've done without making guitars without bracing, etc., and no finish, and answering people's questions. So please, if you do enjoy our videos, please hit the subscribe button, keep watching, like the video if indeed you do like it, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Okay.
All right, mate.
How you doing, mate?
We've got frequency things, etc., etc. So we'll tell everybody that we've recorded these guitars. We've got a DYM, actually they're all rosewood and Adirondack, except we threw in a redwood, a redwood dreadnought as well. To try and answer this question, does Adirondack have more headroom than Sitka? We've got a DYM72, which is Adirondack rosewood. We've got a DYM70, which is Sitka rosewood. Just for fun, because we had it here, we threw in a DYM74.
And we recorded them all using a measuring mic, which is not the kind of microphone that we'd normally use. So it's not sonically the same.
Sonically, that's not that pleasing at all.
I mean, it's, you know, it serves a purpose. It's the kind of thing that we would use, you know, for measuring a room, for tuning a room in the studio. But it's great.
So it's not the sort of mic you'd use to get a great sound of an acoustic guitar?
No, but it's a kind of a full frequency microphone. It's taking absolutely everything on board.
So basically, we play the guitars the same part, try to play them exactly the same with the same attack, same volume, very simple, hard-driven piece.
Yeah.
Using a measuring mic, and you try to capture as much of that spread as possible, right?
Yeah.
And the mic was quite far back?
It was about, probably about 12 inches away from, and I positioned it as I wouldn't normally do, pretty much in the middle of the sound hole, but far enough away so it didn't have, the air wasn't really hitting it. So it's in a weird position, and then I sort of sat, and then Sam would pass me the guitars so that I'm not moving, and you can see it on the video. I'm kind of not moving at all. Okay. Yeah.
So what we will do is we'll record all three guitars at the end of the show with some proper mics, so you can hear actually what the guitars sound like for yourself and what you prefer. But what we're trying to prove here, or demonstrate or show, is, does Sitka have more, many people say headroom or volume or top end, I think, right? So we're going to play the piece now, then we're going to listen to it, and we're going to dive into some frequencies. Yeah. And some sound waves, and try and see what's actually going on.
Great.
Here we go.
Here we go.
That was it?
That was it.
Sounds as though you played pretty consistent.
I have to say, and I got a bit of inspiration from you, a bit of inspiration. Try that again, a bit of inspiration. Because when I see you hit a guitar, right, you and I do two different things. I always go for a G chord. I don't know, Jay does that, our colleague in the States. But actually, I think what you do makes a bit more sense. You dig in to the E, you're letting that kind of excite the top. Yeah. And that's what you're listening to. So that's what I did. So I hit E chords, I put a little bit of a sus on it, I went to an A. You can hear there's a little slight volume difference when it goes to the A. But I kind of want to just concentrate on that one chord. I think if we listen to that one chord going round, and then there's a bit of a, there's not a learning curve here, but I think we just have to be mindful of what we're looking at. It's quite subtle.
I think there is a learning curve for me.
Yeah, well, it's quite subtle. That's
I'm fascinated.
The caveat.
I think. Okay, let's dive in.
Okay, great stuff.
So we're going to listen to the guitars, and we're going to stop them in exactly the same place, and we're going to read the forms.
Exactly.
Okay,
great. So we're hearing all three guitars at the same time at the moment, yeah? Okay, so when I played this, I played an E chord, okay?
I heard that. That measuring mic's quite exposing, isn't it? There's not a lot of niceness going on there, and it's quite harsh. Is that what a measuring mic should be like? It's like
well, I mean, it's the kind of thing that you kind of use when you're just listening to the room tones. You know, so it's picking up absolutely everything. I mean, it's very thin and very directed. You know, it's sort of this far away from the guitar. Yeah. You know, about I don't know, say 12 inches or something away, and it's on the sound hole, so it's not particularly pleasing. It's trying to capture the frequencies. You know, and we put microphones in different places. We place them between the 12th fret and the sound, and you know, to try and emulate what we're hearing. Yeah.
So you just told me, which is, I think, before we get into this, is really important. The fundamental frequencies.
Yes.
In an acoustic guitar are really, really low.
They are.
And not very wide.
No.
They're, what is it, 82
83 hertz, 83 hertz for the low E. Yeah. And the high E is about 330. That's the fundamental.
So the fundamental notes is only 82. So 82 hertz, for those who don't know what 80 hertz is, like
it's super low.
It's like
it's like 160. Yeah. So it's twice as low as that.
So we've got something really sort of, maybe when you hear that woodiness, or people would describe as like, you know, the woof.
Yeah.
That's where that's coming from, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the fundamental of a low E, and then only going up to 330 hertz for the high E, which is nothing.
Yes.
Because as we can see here, these are going to, what is it?
Well,
10K.
I've set it
10,000
to
hertz.
10K.
Okay.
I mean, our ears are hearing between 20 hertz and 20,000 hertz.
Yeah. And then beyond that, we can't hear anything under that.
Well, I mean, technically, we probably can't hear beyond about 15 or 16K.
Okay.
You know? I mean, little babies can hear. Dogs can hear above that. Yeah.
So just pointing here, so the fundamentals of acoustic guitar go from 80 to around about here.
Yeah.
What's the rest of all this stuff?
Overtones, you know.
So that's like frequency,
doublings of frequencies and resonances and
all that sort of stuff.
All the strings,
the string noise and what the strings are doing and everything else. Stuff. So what's amazing is the spread of what do you call it? Tone, sound waves, frequencies from the guitar is absolutely massive.
It is.
It's like, you know, we're measuring from 70 or 80 where we can actually hear the stuff up to 10,000, but it goes way beyond that. And only a tiny bit of it's coming from the fundamental notes of the instrument. I think I remember when I was with William, he explained like the length of frequency for bottom E is 16 feet. So for that to return is actually 32 feet. So we're only capturing a bit of it on a fretboard anyway. But anyway, we'll dive in and we can see that these look quite different. So we've got Redwood. So all these are rosewood backs and sides. The top one is a 74. This is Redwood.
Yeah.
This is Adirondack.
Yes.
And this is Sitka.
Yes.
So explain what's going on.
So, as you said before there, this is our kind of fundamental. This is the lowest we're going to get from the acoustic guitar. Everything beyond that is just kind of room tone and rumble and stuff. And it goes all the way through here to about 10K. Everything kind of beyond that is just, you know, what the microphone's picking up in the room and stuff as well. So we're only really bothered about this. So I've moved the graph scale sort of, you know, from the lowest to the highest
70 to 10,000.
10K. So the boxiness of acoustic guitar, right? The kind of like that grunt that we love, that kind of is driving all that sort of bottom
low end.
Yeah, that's only really happening from about here
down
to about here.
Oh, okay.
Like 300 to 700. That's where all that sort of like low energy, that the perception, the feeling of that you know, that girth of an acoustic guitar, where we feel a dread is different to a parlor, to a whatever. Yeah, and it's quite interesting to see what's happening here between the three guitars. I mean, look, what
Redwood.
Here's a Redwood, right?
But what's interesting here is that Redwood has got so much low end, like it's like a woolly, low bottom E, and you can see that it starts higher and stays there. You know, you can see like how much low end frequency. I mean, the Sitka comes up and sort of peaks out later, but this is very constant here, which you can hear in the guitars. You'll hear that in the ABC towards the end.
I think lots of the energy, that low energy that you're hearing from the guitar is around about 100-ish hertz. I mean, look, in Sitka, you can see what's happening here. It's very kind of pronounced. Not so pronounced here, actually. It's sort of, it sort of has
but
it
kind of comes in high, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So then we get into these. Would we describe sort of 500 to a K? Would we describe them as low mids?
1K is very mid. So I was explaining before about mobile phones, you know, like that's where our voices are most intelligible, is kind of in this range. These are the very kind of like mid nasally frequencies. So
1K, what have we got? We've got Adirondack that's spiking.
Yeah.
Oh, Sitka's
doing it as well. With the Redwoods, kind of
very little.
Yeah.
And then what this whole show is about is like when we're talking about, so up the right here we have decibels. So this is how
this is amplitude, this is volume.
So how loud these things are.
Yeah.
So when people are saying Adirondack is louder or has more headroom, where is that being demonstrated by these? Or have we managed to do that? Or is that even true?
I was thinking about flat pickers. So where the pick is hitting the guitar, it's all in those really concentrated mid frequencies, isn't it? And that seems to me where the Adirondack, maybe the Sitka, but the Adirondack seems to be more present in those frequencies. Do you think that's a reason why those musicians are more drawn towards that top?
The best reference that I know is wooddatabase.com. We've talked about Eric Meyer before, who measures the hardness and the elasticity and other things in wood. When people say we get this more headroom out of Adirondack because it's stiffer or harder, it's just not true. If we use his lab approach to measuring those things, like modulus of elasticity, where you have a piece of wood that's suspended on two points and you put pressure in the middle, and how far will it go that it still returns to its original state, and then rapture, how far will it go before it breaks? In those tests, Sitka and the yanker hardness, which is pushing a ball bearing into the wood, in all of those tests, Sitka is harder and stiffer than Adirondack. So that's the best reference I know online. When we say, which is odd, because when I play these guitars, I don't think the Adirondack is louder than the Sitka. I think it has more, certainly a lot more spread than the Redwood, but if you like low end, I mean, the Redwood's just massive. I don't think it's louder. And even here you can see, I mean, maybe consistently it's like you know, you can see here there's not much difference between volume between these two, right? If you take a median line,
no, there's not.
You know, there's very little in it. And even these like higher frequencies here.
Arguably, everything happening above this line is kind of string stuff, artifacts.
And
you know, it's not the energy really is happening kind of here.
But if we go from like even if we just stay within the fundamentals, like 100 to 400, you know, you have got, I guess you have got a stronger sort of set of fundamentals in some areas. You've got more in the Sitka here in the low end, but in these more in the more middle frequencies, I think that the Adirondack starts to come to play. And I think what you said earlier is a great observation, that we're thinking it's louder because you hear less of that low frequency. Sitka's still got a lot of the sparkle going on, and in some places much more. But you remove that,
and you get more of the clarity of the mids.
Our ears,
and it sounds louder.
And it sounds louder. And I think that the only way I can describe it, and I've played these three guitars for the past sort of 30, 40 minutes, and on one chord, gently and thrashing it, and definitely the clarity in the Adirondack. It's like, I was trying to explain to Dee, if you drew like 6 lines, you know, the 6 strings, it's like there's so much separation in between those lines on the Adirondack, where the Sitka is more, in between those lines, it's more filled, it's fuller. There's more saturation.
In terms of...
And the Redwood, there's even more. So there's like, when you play this, when we'll record these and show you, there's so much clarity in the Adirondack. But what is confusing to me is that would suggest that wood is stiffer, maybe even harder, because there's a clarity to it. But that's not true. As a piece of material, it's not. So it's like, then you go into like molecular, how it's, all that sort of stuff of how it's behaving sonically.
So when we're talking
these are braced the same, they're built the same, they're carved. The bracing's carved exactly the same on these instruments.
When we're talking about the hardness of wood, is it those mid frequencies that's more pronounced then? Is that what we're hearing?
I think to me, it's like, say if you look at backs, like mahogany, you get that more woody, less articulation, or certainly less spread in tone, where rosewood's much harder, and you get lots of like, you know, sparkle in that clear low end. I think for me, but there's no difference. There's very little difference in hardness, hardly any. But I think one is like 490 pounds, the other one's 510. I think 490 is Adirondack and 510 is the Sitka, which is very little.
And where does Redwood sit in that?
It's less. Yeah, it's probably like low 4s or 390s. Like,
and is that why we're hearing...
Engelman's like that.
Right, and is that why we're hearing more of the richness of the low end?
Yeah. It's almost like Adirondack. I think you're right. It's got less of that in it that gives the quality, rather than saying it's got a lot more sparkle in top end.
So it's providing like, more clarity to the mids.
Correct.
And there's less saturation in the low.
Correct. Because if you look at the high end, what's going on in all of the resonant frequencies, right?
Yeah.
There's not a lot. In fact, even Sitka's pushing the needle much more in some of these higher frequencies. But here, in this area here, you know, it seems like, and also we've got more in the Sitka and a lot more in the Redwood, and removing that or that down is letting those middle frequencies come through that our ears really love, and it's just that clarity and what we perceive sometimes as volume is happening, but from this certainly experiment. I mean, there's a bit here, no doubt. You know, there's some there.
And those lower frequencies, because they're resonating, because of the makeup of the guitar, the wood is resonating at 100-something hertz, right? And I think because that's all happening in the low mid, it makes the guitar feel like it's got more, pushing more air.
And I think the most important thing is that all this is like it's almost irrelevant. It's like, you know,
well, but
I see people online talking, it's like, oh, you know, Adirondack's far more responsive, or it's for well, maybe it's not for fingerstyle, but it's like, and it's like, it doesn't matter. It really just doesn't matter. It's like, you're going to pick a guitar up and you're going to gravitate towards that, usually with your playing style, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, like, of course. And our ears are all different.
And our ears are all different, and comfort and all that sort of stuff.
And depending on age, you know. I mean, so, you know, when you get older, your ears get more sensitive or something, you know. When you're younger, it's different.
But the fact is, all these three guitars, the three of them are awesome instruments with massive dynamic range. And you're going to gravitate to one probably because the way you play it, something comes out more, or you like it. Like that, when I played the 74 last night, I thought, I'm taking this home, it's amazing. But then when I picked up Sitka again, you just get confused. So let's not get too hung up on all this madness. Just enjoy playing your guitar. But at the moment, from everything we know, we can try more and get more techie.
Yeah.
But we're kind of saying the Adirondack, perception about Adirondack comes from Headroom because it actually has got a lot more clarity.
Yeah.
In its middle.
Because you're able to dig in more.
And it's got less hum going through the soundboard.
Yeah. I think that's the takeaway from me.
Now you can hear the guitars for yourself. Thanks for listening, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, click the like button and consider subscribing to our channel. If you want to watch more videos like this one, click the video on the screen now.